more of a commercial building kind, everything indoors and.
The rooms are big, but outside like we are looking at. So I don't know how in cities is it the normal now? Like,
yeah, it's normal. There are houses like that, independent houses. For instance, a group of my friends are living in independent houses, right?
not the independent, I think they are apartments, okay, and but they are side of the road. This is not
One side it is.
Colony kinds like.
Yeah, yeah. It's like suppose you see evergreen, there is saying evergreen, right? I'll give that contact if you want, so you can be in touch with me. There are houses. Today you are staying?
I'm staying in evergreen.
Evergreen. Oh, cool. Evergreen is super clean. So they're looking for a house that they moved from British house. They're looking for a house with nice looking space.
Oh, okay. For the school district, if you are looking for the nothing evergreen, it is second best after Cupertino.
And like, is it walkable distance, like all the schools? Because he will be going to middle school, she will be in elementary.
Yeah. My kid is 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 2 daughters. One is 3rd and second one is 7. Middle school and they are walkable.
Both
You can rent a home over there. Are you looking to buy it?
No, we are looking for rent because ours is a transferable job.
Yeah, I think then probably that place is, if you can rent here also Cupertino. Where are you working?
Basically, I'm working with Cognizant.
I mean, very top with me.
That's in Apple. Apple has many offices. So currently it is in Cupertino, but
Not sure.
and now it is again going to shift actually after a month. It will be somewhere in 420 North Mary or
Which city?
Sunnyvale.
Sunnyvale.
I mean, if you have a car, then it's mainly for kids, right?
Yeah.
You can look at Cupertino, you can look at Evergreen.
Evergreen is a school district or city?
It's a school district. City is
San Jose. Okay.
So it's
If
good
you have your
information
job
we find.
secure, right? You can start in between. It's like a center. You have a job because anywhere else it's there in Cupertino.
Evergreen ka, like where you are staying, it's like Evergreen School District.
What's the name of the apartment? You are in your own house, right?
Yeah, you can rent for it. I have a town home over there.
Okay. We are looking for rented apartments and like.
Yeah, you can basically look some, you can rent some property there, like town home, family house. You can come.
Okay, that's another important task now we have for evening. We go and search and you know, we are like right now we have seen one apartment, but the only thing is they have a swimming pool, everything, but it's not a big area that children can play around.
Yeah, if you're comparing with the East Coast, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, especially Long Island has lost
Most of the places are like that here. Even Cupertino or Cupertino. Hardly you will find where you're from. So we go out to park and all that.
Yeah, so we have to take them to parks.
Yeah, if you come to Evergreen, probably a little more open.
But the parks, you know, they can't walk to the park. They'll have to drive them to the park.
No.
And what is the price range for Evergreen like normally? Because Cupertino I heard 4,000 ranges, so that is too big.
Yeah, 500 you can get a town home.
Yeah, in Evergreen. The town home, that is.
The town home that I have, they are being rented, people rent 45,000. Like that.
All the apartments, you know, 2-bedroom apartments.
Apartments, I mean rented properties are not there.
They're not there in Evergreen at all?
Because most of the good school district, they have their own private, you know.
But still, if you could search.
Yeah, we'll search like the one which we have like right now fees. Only negative is the playground.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the school is 9 rating, 10 rating schools are there and walkable, everything. So we are thinking of compromising in the playground.
They can come here and
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
Hare Krishna. It gives me an extremely great and deep happiness to welcome all of you for the third semester of the Bhakti Shastri course. And we will be studying the Bhagavad Gita from chapters 10 through 18 for this semester. And I believe the calendar is already out. The devotees have the calendar. So this session is an introductory session. We are not going to discuss in depth the chapters, but we are going to give a layout of what this semester is going to be. What are we going to read? How are we going to read? What sort of things we can expect from this course, and things like that. And then also we'll discuss the feedback which we got from the last semester and see we can implement that or not. For those who are joining us for the first time, this is a course we are doing here where we systematically study Bhagavad Gita. And thank you for joining. So let's start with our Jai Radha Madhava prayers. Then we'll do our Mangalacharan prayers. And then we'll get into the class. Actually, we'll do one more bhajan also, because we urgently need to invoke the blessings and mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, we can't understand much from Bhagavad Gita. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari So let's take a moment seriously, because our spiritual knowledge, what we get, is not like material knowledge. You take a book from market, you buy a book, and you buy a computer or whatever you need to practically implement that, and then you experiment it at home, and then you are a master of that knowledge. Yeah, you can do that. Most of the people, they build all sorts of weird things, not only limited to bombs, by learning from how to do it from internet. But the point is that spiritual life or spiritual knowledge, you can never get like that. The spiritual knowledge comes only by the grace of our previous acharyas. So when we offer our Mangalacharan prayers, let's gather all the sincerity we have in our heart in a very focused way and pray and beg to Srila Prabhupada, our Guru, and their Lordship Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan, that they give us the true meaning of Bhagavad Gita. Alright? For those who are not familiar with the prayers, they are there on the page 1 of Bhagavad Gita. If you see, open the Bhagavad Gita, it's there on page 1. It's not the first page, literally the page which is marked as number 1. That will be just before the introduction and after the preface. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Matsamo nasti papatma naparadhi cha kasyana parihare pilajjame kim bhruve purushottama bhumau skalitapadanam bhumireva avalambanam tvai chata paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabho Govinda Vallabhe Radhe Prarthaye Tvamaham Sada Tvadiyam Niti Janatu Govindo Mam Tvaya Saha Radha Radhita Radhesha Radhika Prana Vallabha Radha Ramana Vande Tvam Radhika Prema Nirjita. Excuse me. So as I was mentioning earlier, there is a gulf of difference between acquiring material knowledge and acquiring spiritual knowledge. Material knowledge can be obtained by one's own desire and one's effort, but our spiritual knowledge can be obtained only by mercy of Krishna. The example of this is that there are many scholars, yes, who have written many books on Bhagavad Gita, who have written many translations on Bhagavad Gita. As a proof, you go to Amazon or any other website and type in Bhagavad Gita, you will see the number of translations are enormous. Many scholars, many academicians, many Sanskrit pundits, they have all translated Bhagavad Gita. But the difference is that unless one is empowered, one is given intelligence by Krishna from within, one cannot realize what Bhagavad Gita is all about. One cannot know. So when we read Bhagavad Gita in this Bhakti Shastri course, our focus or our attitude is that we are sitting at lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and begging for his mercy to understand what he is writing. That sincerity and that approach is actually helps us to understand Gita. And once you understand Gita in the right perspective, then everything is revealed. The whole knowledge in the world is revealed. You see the world rightly according to what its proper reality is. Otherwise, for those who have no knowledge of spiritual life, when you see the world through your own vision, that world seems to be a disturbing place. There are so many ups, there are so many downs, there are so many lefts and so many rights. But that's the nature of this world. And Bhagavad Gita actually gives us this inner strength how to overcome all these obstacles. Not overcome in the sense like, I have like a very bad, or my health is not good. I read Bhagavad Gita and then my health will become good and I can do whatever I need to do. No, that is not what I mean. The thing is, even when any obstacles come, you have that inner strength to tolerate those obstacles, to understand those obstacles. And eventually you'll realize those obstacles are not as important as they seem. Because our mind is so absorbed in material life, we think whatever obstacles we have is huge and I can't overcome it. But Bhagavad Gita teaches us we have nothing to do with those obstacles. We may get those obstacles, but still we have that inner strength to say that we can tolerate them, we can overcome them, and eventually they will go away. Because Bhagavad Gita, we learnt in the second chapter, Krishna says, not nasato vidyate babu. Which is the verse? Thank you. Yes, please go ahead, Mataji. Doesn't matter, try it. Sitoshna? Agama? Right. Agama apaino nityas tam titikshasva bharata. Second chapter, 14th verse, for those who are interested. So the point is that when we learn Gita, then these obstacles are not going to be permanent. Now, who is there who experienced happiness and who said, may this happiness always continue. I just want to be happy like this. You always think like that. But the thing is, the negative thing will anyway come off its own accord. The happiness will come, it will stay for some time and it will go away. So is the negative thing. This is just the nature of this world. Bhagavad Gita teaches us that if you are in this world and you have accepted this material body, then these are the things you are going to get. Just like a manual which is there, you buy a car, then it comes with a manual saying that this is what this car is. Basically, this car is meant to be driven on the roads. But if you take it on top of mountain, it will break into pieces. The point is, at least you know the limitations of what it does. Similarly, when we come into this world and we get this human body, Krishna says that this body is nothing but a car. And you are just situated within the car. So what is the manual for this car which is called body? That is Bhagavad Gita. And when we know that, then our direction will be smooth. Then we know the limitations. We know our expectations of the world are pretty clear. And how we do our duties, how we face the world, how we get the highest form of happiness, everything is there in Gita. But in the higher aspects are given in the seed form. So those we can learn later. I know one of the most interesting things which has made you all come, and I'm grateful, is to know about exams and the like. So should we talk a little bit about exams now? Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Because today is an open session. We are not going to be pressed for time. We are not going to be pressed for the pressure to complete a chapter within certain time, because Vaisheshi Prabhu is coming. So, yes, go ahead.
Can we talk a little more about Bhagavad Gita? What is the subject matter? What can we learn from it? And what does the second half cover?
Definitely. That'll be one of the things to cover. But I know everybody is eager for the exam topic, so I just want to kind of get over with, and then everybody's attention will be on the Gita. Otherwise, we are talking of Gita. Okay, when will you come to exam? Okay, it's good. That's good. That's good. No. Once we'll talk about exam and the marks and the likes, and then we'll be free. Our mind is like, okay, we are done. Okay. So, the exam, everybody passed. Almost everybody passed. Almost everybody. Everybody passed. Only 2 devotees didn't appear for exam, and everybody else appeared. And I'm grateful that everybody took the exam. Most of you did very well in the exam. The answers were more or less right. In some cases, it was a little different. I don't have the question paper with me, but if you have any questions regarding the questions, we can talk about it now. Anything you remember? The feedback I got from about the question paper was it was relatively easy, not too tough, nor too easy, somewhere in between. So that is the goal. When we write exam, I wish I could pass everybody without you writing exams, but somehow that board of exam will not allow me, and I don't feel good also. You won't feel good too. So it was, and we had our exam here in a different venue this time. We did not have it at Rasika Shikara Prabhu's house. It was as was the ritual in the past, so to speak. And so overall, I think about 30 or 32 devotees took the exam, and I think the lowest was 65, the highest was 96, and the average was, I think, 81 or 82 or something like that. So those are some statistics. The question, you got most of the questions right. I think a couple of you could not get. One of the question was like, give 2 examples where Krishna mentions that the soul and the body, kind of thing. Like, I think the question could have been phrased better, because I was looking for 2 shlokas where Krishna gives the example that we are not this body. The first example was Dehinosmin yata dehe, and the other is Vasansi jirnani yata vihaya. So two, like he uses the example of a cloth which gets old, and then the body. So I think the many devotees, they could not, maybe some devotees they couldn't understand, so they gave one example right, the other example was not so right. So you didn't get the full marks for that. But otherwise the grading was pretty standard. Like if you write this, and then you get this many marks. If you write this, you get this many marks. If you write the shloka right, and for example for the memorization and translation, if you write the shloka right, and if you got the translation wrong, then you lose some points. Or if you just don't even write the Sanskrit shloka, just write the English translation, you get half of it. And the Sanskrit shloka should be exactly correct, because you can't change Krishna's words. But the English translation can be in your own words, as long as they are true to the meaning. For example, if you use the word dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yoranjara, you can't say in the translation. You can't say that I think the soul is going to be in this way, that way, this way, and then that is what Krishna says here. Most of you didn't do that. I'm just exaggerating it. Yep. Yeah. So the next semester more or less is the same. The feedback we got from the exam, one of the questions was to give feedback, because I didn't get much feedback last time. So for those who didn't take the exam, I gave a question saying that for you have to give a feedback about this semester, and the feedback was more homework so that we can read. Then a couple of devotees said the exam should be on time, and that is what it's going to be this time. Please, the exam date is fixed right from, I'm saying in the first class itself, the exam date is fixed, it's not going to change. Not the time, not the place, everything is going to be exactly the same. It is just which day, whether it is a Saturday or a Sunday, and the time and the venue. That's the only thing that's unknown at this point of time. But I'm really grateful to each and every one of you for participating, for reading Bhagavad Gita. And if there are any other comments, you can always, send it to me, any feedback. I'll just try to incorporate and try to help. But last time, I'm sorry if the email I sent about not asking me for makeup and all that was a little too strong, because there are too many devotees asking for so many different times, and I'm sorry I can't do it. Because for me, just imagine I have to have an exam with you, then somebody else wants on a certain day, then I need to have, I need to remember. And then, for example, Raj, I had to send him an exam to India, but I set a reminder that iPhone didn't work. And I was traveling, so that I set a reminder, and it didn't work, so I couldn't send a paper to him. So in that way, it was tough to keep track, and I didn't want to disappoint and cause inconvenience, which I did. So sorry. So things like that, I just want to avoid this time. So we'll have one exam at one spot at one time. Those who are outside of Bay Area, you get it at the exact same time where the Bay Area devotees are taking, and then you send it back via email. I strongly request that the devotees in Bay Area please come physically and take the exam, because it's a joyous thing to sit with everybody and take. It's a lot of fun, and also it's better. Other questions, comments, any suggestions for exams before we move on? Yes, Prashant, Prabhu. Feedback about feedback question. Yeah, I can do that. Heck, why not all the 70 marks just for feedback? Yeah, but on this point, everybody got 2 points for feedback. Nobody got less marks for feedback. Everybody got 2 marks, whether you wrote it or not. Other questions, other comments for exams? Yeah, yes, Chaitanya Prabhu.
Generally,
Hare Krishna, somebody online?
Yes, Prabhu, this is Naushil here.
Hare Krishna, Naushil.
Prabhu, I just had a question whether the exam result we got, did it also include the assignment points or not?
Yes, if you notice, the exam was for 70 marks, and the final score was out of 100, and the 2 assignments, if you submitted it on time, then you would have got all the 30 marks. Unless there was a late submission, nobody has been deducted based on the content for the assignment. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Sudeep. Sorry, Chaitanya. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Sudeep.
My humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, just one comment, and this is not a comment on the exam or anything. I can hear your voice loud and clear, but I think when other devotees are making a comment or asking questions, I'm not, because maybe they are not using the microphone. So if you could please request them to use the microphones, because many questions what other devotees have been asking, they're also very profound. So I would like to listen to those as well. I can figure it out based on your answers, but it would be nice to listen to their questions as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that friendly reminder. Swati Mataji? Yeah, Chaitanya Prabhu, go ahead. Sorry.
Prabhuji, I just wanted to know when are the exams generally, approximately around what time, which month do they happen?
I believe this time it is July 26th, 27th, the date of the exam. Is that right? I forgot. Yeah, July 26th or 27th or 21st or some last day of July. That's I'm 100% sure of it.
So those who are going to India or something like that, they can take it from there and send
Yes. But please be, So please, the idea is there is a 6 months heads up so that you can plan it around that. Previously what happened was that because we had marathon or we had book distribution goals, we moved the date a little bit to accommodate the devotees, but this time we are clear of marathon and clear of everything. So that date is fixed. That's not going to change. Because if that date will change this time, for the next semester I'll come with bulletproof vest and with like helmet and everything. And the devotees also will be equally equipped. Stones, tomatoes, arrows,
US schools are famous for it.
exact baseball bats. Yes, so it will be a live Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, but in the reverse effect, people are eager to fight, I have to pacify them not to fight. Where Krishna is saying here, I won't fight, but he has to induce. Yes, Chaitanya. 20th, right? Yeah, 21st. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
those who will be in India that time, they can give it from there.
Yes. I'll just send it via email. You need to make yourself available for 3 hours with no interruptions. And then at the end of the 3 hours, you can send it. It's an honor-based system because I can't keep track. Or neither, if you go to India, the standard procedure is I need to ask some devotee who is in the vicinity to take the paper, to administer the exam and send it back to me. But I believe it's an honor-based system because ultimately, whom are you cheating even if you do open book? You're not going to get a raise. You're not going to get anything from Bhagavad Gita. It's just your own heart is being purified by if you read. And even if you fail, it's glorious. Really? Because you are going to read the whole Bhagavad Gita again. The more times you read, thank you, Masi. The more times you read, the more you'll understand. That doesn't mean please don't keep failing because I don't want to have so many. Usually my tendency to make sure everybody passes. Other questions, other comments? Yes, Hari Sankirtan Prabhu.
So Prabhuji, again, this is on the feedback given even last time because again this exam is in July and the next semester would be again in December or January like that. And again it would be, for the next 4th semester who was taking extra of devotion and again the same problem of Sankirtan monthly, the December marathon will come. Is there any idea of moving the schedule from to March to September sort of thing so that it doesn't clash? Because again June, July is again the school closing time. Many people will start going to India again. Same problems will start occurring for you.
So the next semester can be in January. The exam can be in January. January 15th or 20th when everybody is back from India and there is no marathon goals and things like that. The other coming to that, we'll talk about the tips and techniques and also other exam. Before we go to exam, then the next step is we discuss a little bit about attitude of reading Srila Prabhupada's books and then we can discuss more about the discipline involved and then some memorization of shlokas and things like that. So are there more comments on exams before we move ahead?
Are there any fixed number of slokas? This time also, like last time, you have given 10 slokas to by heart.
Excellent point. Thank you. So I will send out an email shortly in next few days before I go to India. I'll send out the list of the shlokas we need to memorize for this semester too. Thank you, Madhukar. Yes, Kameshwari Mati.
Prabhuji, I had this question. Out of all the feedbacks, are there anything that we are going to implement? I was online, but I missed some points. There was a feedback question and everybody gave feedback.
One thing we are going to definitely implement is have exam on time. And July 20th and 21st will be the exam. And that is fixed. When amongst those 2 days, one of the days, and the time and the venue, that will be notified later. We are not going to budge an inch, whatever be it. Because it's good for so many people. I do understand the anguish of moving the exam dates, and if devotees have based their schedule around exam, it will be really disappointing to have change in the exam. So that's one thing. The second thing is more homework. This is my request. More homework I can surely have more homeworks, but I do not have time to correct, and I do not have time to track the homework. So we can have more homeworks with the condition that you send me the homeworks and then you keep track. And at the end of the semester, you say that I submitted on time versus not submitted on time, and these are my marks. So if you can give me that, then we can have more homeworks. Of course, we'll correct the homeworks, so we'll look at the homeworks, and we may not acknowledge individually saying that you submitted the homework, because it's frankly a lot of work, and I don't think I have that kind of time. I've been being very honest. Yes, Hari Sankirtan Prabhu.
For the homework part, actually, I forgot to feed the feedback. One thing we can do is, only thing we need to track is submission. For the correction part, what you can do is, because anyway you're going to give full marks for the homework if you submit. What you can do is just send the answers after the deadline, and we can check against that, and we can see how we are done. Rather than you correcting it.
Wonderful. Excellent idea. Yeah, we can do that. That's much easier.
You asked Pandit a quick question on the homework.
Mataji? Yes, Mataji?
Prabhuji, quick question on homework. How many marks are we going to get from the homework if we're going to have a lot more homework this semester?
On an average, we get from 30 to 35 marks, and those are guaranteed marks. And when you go to exam, you have to get 35 marks or so from the question paper, and you will pass. So essentially, most of the devotees have 30 marks already lined up, or already done, if you submit your homework on time.
All right. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. The other thing is, we are also in the process, hopefully, I don't know when it will happen, where we have an automatic submission. We'll have an infrastructure where, we don't know. At this point, it's just an idea. We don't have any deadlines or dates or something like that. But we have an infrastructure where you can actually submit the homework on, and you can and it is stored somewhere, and your time stamp is recorded and things like that. And there can be, the other thing is an online quiz. Immediately after the chapter, you have an online quiz that you need to take, and you need to complete within certain time to get points for every chapter. That way you are forced to read every chapter. And so that can actually, so there are ideas, and these can be automated. If you have some website, then we can expand and we can scale a lot more, have a lot more work going on. After every class, there is a quiz. You need to take a quiz. So those are some of the ideas. But at this point, I do agree, because unless there is some sort of interaction like this, you won't have that motivation to study. You just think, okay, exam, July 20th. All you are doing is from the calendar, you see when is June 20th coming. I'm a student, so I have been there. I know what it is like. And I'm guilty of doing it too sometimes. I'm in front of the deities, I won't lie. So yeah, it is a natural human tendency. So unless there are more quizzes and more interactions, it's good also, because for you, it's so much of stress to read 9 chapters in 1 month. And then you will say, Prabhuji, you know what, it's too much to read. Yeah, sure, because we didn't read for the first few months, and last minute if you try catching up, it is going to be stressful. So, but please bear with me till we have some sort of infrastructure in place. But having said that, if you want quizzes, we can have quizzes, just like lively, informal quizzes. In the next class, I can ask quiz on that. Some quiz questions, just for understanding. We can do that. That's more easier. No marks, no nothing. Just quiz questions at the end of the class or the beginning of next class. We can have some sort of Kameshwari Mataji.
Prabhuji, I wanted to ask if I don't know if it is a good idea, but if everybody prepares some part of chapter or some chapter and present it, and that can have points, I wanted to know what you think about it, and if rest of the students what they think about it, if it is a good idea to. And I think for the first semester you had done it, and I don't know how it went. First batch.
Yeah, first batch. First batch, the first semester of first batch went for 8 months. Because it was new, everybody was new, it was we were trying to gel along. And so it did go for a while. But having said that, we can have few revision sessions thrown in. My request is, how can you grade? With your solution, it's an excellent solution, which I am fully in support of, because when you teach, you learn. And that's been the motto. I have been taught. But now that there are 32 students, how are the students from outside going to present? How are they going to be graded? How many? So you have to really divide up the 9 chapters into such segments that can accommodate each student. And that in itself is quite some work and logistics just to get organized. One way to do is we can have revision sessions. That I can say. At the end of the semester, we can have 1 day of revision. We have whole 8 hours or 6 hours. We have divided it up, and then students can come and present. Those who are interested, it's voluntarily, they can sign up and they can present it. So that's one thing we definitely can try this semester, and that's what we did in the first semester. That was only for revision session. That the devotees came, they make a presentation, they bought PowerPoints, they got this stuff. It was beautiful, and there was no points, but it was very helpful because everybody was able to brush up in the last minute. Oh yeah. I remember I read this sometime in January. We talked about this. I totally forgot. Now it's brushing up kind of thing. So. Yeah, I would fully support the idea, but I don't think it's practically possible for this semester at least. But we can definitely have revision sessions based on your ideas. Yes, Hari Sankirtan Prabhu.
Question, Prabhuji, it's on the same on the reading part. So initially, what happened was in the Bhagavad Gita, initially for the first 3-4 chapters, we could follow the schedule. We started reading, but after that we fell back. And then it came back, then we went to India for the yatra and all came back. Last 2 weeks we studied everything and managed to, and the paper was easy, so we managed to pass. So, or even score high marks. But the question is, how do we keep ourselves motivated to read and so that we don't fall behind schedule, or at least so that we don't cram up at the last moment? Because at the end of the day, we don't do justice to the system. We don't do justice to ourselves, nor to you, nor to the Bhakti Shastri course as such. So, because getting high marks, 80, 90 or 100 marks also doesn't make any sense if you don't understand the philosophy.
Amazing, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Sudeep, Hari Sankirtan Prabhu asked, so can I answer that before I take your question, or do you want to answer his question?
Actually, I have something that will help answering his question. I had some thoughts in mind, but I can wait.
No, go ahead. Then we can combine together. Okay, go ahead.
So, Prabhuji, first of all, many thanks to Hari Sankirtan Prabhu because he actually echoed the sentiments of quite a few of us, and I'm really glad that this topic of homework and quizzes has been brought along because even last semester, I think I must have bothered you more than at least a couple of times that we need more assignments. And I know some people are probably not going to like me for mentioning this, but Prabhuji, in all honesty, I also fully agree about the presentations, and it's very nice if we can have revision sessions given out by somebody who volunteered. The other point was, and I'm coming back to answering Hari Sankirtan Prabhu's question, you mentioned about quiz. And the quiz, if there are going to be no marks, I think it might not motivate many people. I think fear or something has also been a little bit of a motivator. So what I propose, and this is where it's going to address a little bit of Hari Sankirtan Prabhu's question, is first of all, definitely if there are more homework assignments and take-home quizzes, that will be assigned certain marks. Like for instance, last semester we had 2 homeworks that total was 30 points or something like that. And this time if we have 4 homeworks, whatever points, if we want to give 30 or 35, that doesn't matter. But as long as they have points, what we can do is we can find volunteers, like maybe 5 or 6, the more the merrier, volunteers who can prepare those quizzes. And what we can do is we have 8 chapters, we have 9 chapters from 10 to 18. Those can be divided, like for instance, from chapter 10 through 12, we'll have 3-4 volunteers who will prepare quiz questions on those, and then some other volunteers will prepare quiz questions on the remaining. And that way we will have at least 2 homework assignments, which anyways would be there, and then 2 take-home quizzes. All these will constitute to like 30, 35, whatever the points would be. What this is going to help that periodically throughout, we will have homework 1, we'll have quiz 1. Throughout that time, at least people will work on these quizzes and they will become familiar. This is just a very humble attempt to help get to the point, because whatever we say, it is going to be like, at least I know about myself that I'm going to cram the material in the last 1 week or 1.5 weeks. But by doing so, having these many homework assignments and quizzes, what is going to happen is when the time comes when I have to cram material, I'll be in a much better position than I was in the at the last semester. That's all. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All valid points. One point which I wanted to propose, and please vote yes or no, is that we'll have a midterm exam. That will solve many problems. The thing is, first 5 chapters you do, we'll have a midterm exam that will cover it. And then we'll have the second exam which will cover the last 4 chapters. It'll keep us motivated to read right through the beginning, and in the middle we have an exam seriously we have to take care of. Then you get an idea, oh man, I got 0 out of 30 or 35 for that exam. I need to really crack all the 35 marks for the next exam, otherwise I'm going to fail. So everybody has an idea of how much they need to do, but at the same time also it will keep you motivated. Oh, here is the deal. You will not be told the marks for the first exam. You will just be writing the exam and it's going to count towards your marks, and then the second exam you take, then you will get the grand total for both. That way you don't have to cram the 9 chapters. You can do the first 5 chapters, you can start reading today because you know that there is an exam just in 2 months rather than in 6 months.
To make it more interesting, then the best point is you just announce the exam 1 week before.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the same thing is going to happen. If you announce that in October and you are going to have the exam, or March end, then you again March 15th will start studying. It's a very, very beautiful question you asked, and I think it requires a very serious, as Sudeep also mentioned, it requires a very serious contemplation on how do we solve this problem. And this is not blaming anybody; it's just a collective human mentality to be like what we are. And how can we overcome as a group together? Otherwise, Haribol, two devotees spoke at the same time, or is it an echo? Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All praise to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, with respect to what Hari Sankirtan Prabhu said, and basically I wanted to just mention 2 things. One is we could have a good a morning conference call, morning conference call for 15 minutes where devotees, whoever are interested, can join, and we can read every day for 15 minutes from the Bhagavad Gita, from those chapters, and in a way that within 2 weeks we will complete the chapter that is associated with those 2 weeks. In that way we will be definitely reading for sure, and it will be like generally this happens in a way that we assign among ourselves who will read for the one day, and the next day somebody else reads, but everybody else gets a chance to listen to it. So even if they are not reading, at least they are hearing for those 15 minutes directly from the purpose of Srila Prabhupada on that chapter. So it happens every day till the end of July, and we would complete all those 9 chapters.
Yeah, it's a nice idea too. Definitely I would strongly encourage having a group reading too. Those who are interested, and Sri Kumar Prabhu and others can have a group. So, with all this, thank you. Anything else? Sorry, Sri Kumar Prabhu.
Yeah, there was just a second point, Prabhuji. With respect to quiz and all, there is already a website called VedicQuiz.com in which ISKCON Desayatri has already put it up, and there are already for every chapter of Bhagavad Gita there are at least 3 or 4 sets of quiz questions which are multiple choice, and which when answered they will score it and give you the score also. Okay, yeah, that can be done too. I mean, that requires some sort of infrastructure. Some website infrastructure would make it really easy, which I think we can work on a later date. But I think the practical thing seems to be having a midterm exam, sometime in some mid time, somewhere in the mid. As I fully agree with Hari Sankirtan Prabhu's idea, somewhere in the middle of the semester.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Okay, I agree. Done. So this time we'll really keep it that way. We'll see. Mayapur Prabhu, I'll come to you in 1 minute. So we will do that. This time we'll have a midterm exam which will be announced sometime during the middle of the semester, and it will be 2 weeks before, and then so the devotees can give the exam for those 5 chapters in 2 weeks. So you can get a fair idea, because it will be after 5 chapters we cover. And then you want 4 or 5?
4. 4. Unexpected 4 and expected is 5. It's more
Five. Okay, I agree. So let's do 5. So we have a midterm exam which will cover the 5 chapters, and the date will be announced 2 weeks before, and then so you don't know. So that'll be a nice thing. Yes, Prashant.
How about the final? Will it cover the remaining 5 or again the 10 whole 9?
No, only 4. Remaining 4.
That will make life easy.
Yeah, remaining 4. Because the whole goal is to motivate the devotees to read, and so this time there will be no homeworks. Just because we have like 2 exams and we have time to read, everything is settled down. We won't have homeworks. We'll just go through so it will be like 50-50 or 45-50. Again, the marks also I won't tell how much. Exciting, interesting, or scary, or
that's okay if we don't give official homework, but can you still give homework questions, and can we do it on our own? Because what happens is, like, the questions you give or the homework are generally tough, and it helps to, basically we need to go in and actually read and understand to answer it. It's not like the exams where it's much more easier actually.
Okay, fine.
And expect what kind of questions you ask.
Fine, okay, that can be done. Like a sort of quiz questions. Actually, as Sudeep mentioned, there can be volunteers for that. If you go through that, you can write up all the possible questions you think of, and you can send it to the group.
Well, the problem with that is we'll just go to ISKCON Desire Tree and pick it from there.
Hari Sankirtan Prabhu, you are on fire. I like it today. I really like it, because this really addresses what you are bringing out is like serious fundamental issues that need to be resolved for more meaningful and more fulfilling reading of Srila Prabhupada. Totally. Yeah, okay. I'll send the quizzes this time. I'll just write some homeworks. After each chapter, the homeworks. There is like few questions which I think of, and just I'll send it out before or after, and then you can get some idea of what it is. Okay. I can do that too. Only thing is, can somebody please remind me that saying that, put me to task also. Okay, all right, thank you. So we will have a midterm this time. We'll have after 5 chapters. We'll announce 2 weeks before, and then the only thing is the venue and all that. That will take care of.
Prabhuji, for this final exam, you already looked at the MSF dates, and it was decided like that. For midterm also, again you have to look at the.
Actually, for April time. Oh, it's a good point you brought up. Thank you very, very much. The way I look at it is that the whole program of Bhakti Shastri, when we started, you needed to read about 15 minutes a day to cover the topics. 15 minutes a day or 2 hours on the weekend, which it was your choice. Now, one thing I realize is, and this is, I'm just trying to push a little bit, is that with so many other things going on, Srila Prabhupada's books reading also is an important thing. And if we can equally prioritize, and I know you are like an forefront and Sankirtan leader kind of situation, but I'll make sure that we wouldn't clash in a very, very like strong Sankirtan. My understanding is the Bhaktivinoda Thakur marathon will start sometime in June time frame. So we'll have one in April and one in July. So that way it will be clear at least. I don't know when again the time, April, May, whatever time. But something like that. We'll make sure. But other thing, Kameshwari, is that you have time till now and whatever time we announce. That is like 3-4 months. When we have this mindset, I have to read only 1 month before, then 1 month before Sankirtan is there, this is there, my exam is there, so many things will come up and mind is just confused. If you say, no, I'm going to start reading from tomorrow, no matter what, every day, write notes, then it will be much easier. Even if when you have exam today or tomorrow, I can announce it like, okay, I'm going to have an exam tomorrow, you'll be ready. Yes, fine, done. No worries. So we'll at least get into that kind of mentality. That's the ideal wanted situation, but at least we'll try towards it. But if you right now start with the mentality, right, 1 month before I'm going to read, no matter what, at least this announcement of midterm will at least move you out of your comfort zone, saying that, okay, no, this is something more coming up. There is a curveball coming up. I need to be prepared. Just to help. But I'll make sure. I understand your concern, and I'll make sure that it won't hamper seriously. Part of the goal is not to torture devotees as a part of Bhakti Shastri, but to help them with the book distribution, but at the same time, a little bit push. I'm being pushed to answer. I'm pushing. Other questions, comments? Thank you. The other thing you want, which will satisfy, is I can randomly pick one. This was the idea, but the reason I backed off was I didn't want to do it. Was I said that whoever comes here to the class, they'll be asked to come and give a 10-minute presentation on what they learned. Means nobody will be coming to the class because we don't have attendance for the class. Man, today I'll be picked up. No thanks, and everybody will think like that. Did I tell you this famous story? So there was one king in the previous days, and he wanted to do puja for Lord Shiva. A massive, beautiful puja for Lord Shiva. And that required about 10,000 gallons of milk. And then he said to the people in the kingdom that please, everybody of you spare one lota full or 1 quart of milk. You bring it to your house and put it into this big vat. And that vat is being built outside the city. Everybody should come put their vat. And people were over intelligent. They said, I'll take some water and put it. Everybody is putting milk. I'll take some water and then I'll put it in that vat. Everybody thought like that, and there was only water in that vat. There was no milk. So my point I'm trying to make is if we implement the rule that randomly you will be called to give a class, then pretty much everybody will think today is my turn, no my turn, and nobody will come. So no, that idea is not good. But you can do this. If somebody really wants to present, please send me an email saying that I want to present, and at the end of that class, 10-15 minutes you can give an overview, or in the beginning of the class. So that flexibility is always there. Make sense? Sorry, we are taking too much time, but it's addressing a lot of questions. Do you think it's beneficial or not? Or we just jumping into Gita and then again same thing repeating? At least we need to keep on improving as we learn from our past experiences. And this is one of those classes which the Stephen Covey calls sharpening the saw. You know what it means? There was this man who was cutting the branch of the tree, and he was very furiously working cutting the branch of the tree. A man comes and says, "Man, you are cutting with a blunt saw. It's going to take a long time. Take out a few minutes and sharpen the saw, and then you'll be cutting much faster." That man says, "Are you crazy? I'm so busy working so hard. And then you are saying I should stop it?" It does, sharpening the saw. So it helps to kind of make this whole experience better. And we learn from each experience. And we improve upon it. And we push more harder to read Srila Prabhupada's books. Make more better. Last time, you by the way, everybody of you is much way better than student than me. I'm still hopelessly trying to learn. But, you should get the benefit of moving faster and doing in a more better way. So that's my goal. Other question? Yes, Raj, and then Hari Sankirtan Prabhu.
Prabhuji, yesterday one thing I realized, because I was reading Gita and then suddenly I was trying to recollect my Nectar of Instructions sloka.
Huh.
And we I mean, I forgot. So what I'm trying to here point it out. So even you read something in the past, like year back, you forgot, right? So how to keep track of those kind of things? Even like, do you want to include that something also, like maybe few slokas into that, or I mean, so that people not forget what we learned so far, like.
That's nice. That's a nice idea, but may not be very relevant to this thing, because you have certain shlokas to memorize. I would love nothing than to memorize 200 shlokas for the whole semester. Okay, we can have more shlokas. I have no problems. We can. That's not a problem. We can have more shlokas. Or the other option is this: you can have all the shlokas at one place, but for this semester you learn in this. When you go, okay, I need to learn this, and you go back also. Oh, I see. Yeah, I know this one. And all the shlokas we memorize for all the 4 semesters, you can have it at one place. Is that coming? Yeah. Other questions? Other comments? Yes.
Yeah, one
yeah,
more
sorry.
question.
Oh, sorry, Harisankirtan Prabhu. Yes, go ahead.
Another thing, like when you brought the question of like if someone wants to make a presentation of 10 minutes, etc., we can do. But the problem that we had in the previous semesters, especially for Bhagavad Gita, was that we were always short of time. And then like first few verses we used to go in detail, and the last few verses we just used to skip and run fast through that. How do we address that issue? Especially because certain chapters like 13, 17, they are too technical and it will go into long of discussion, or people will have time understanding those chapters.
Excellent point. I'm grateful to Krishna Harisankirtan Prabhu that you are here in the class today. I really mean it. Because one of the feedbacks, everybody, I say I'm grateful, but everybody, one of the feedbacks we got from the exam was that classes are too short. You are going too fast. You are covering too many things in one class. And the other feedback was that we need breaks between classes. You are going, like sometimes the classes feel too long and too lengthy, and I don't have any breaks. All those are fair. So one way we can do is have a 3-hour session with 1.5 hour gap. That's one thing I can think of. Instead of classes starting at 2, we start at 1. But then that will be the prime time for sleeping too. But no, it's not like that. We can split up. We can split up the chapters. We can have like every week classes. We already have. This class 18th, it's already split up into 2 classes. So we can still like divide up chapters. That's one practical thing, is every week we have classes. That way we can cover more slower, more deep. The other option is to have like 3 or 4 hour classes with 2-3 breaks in between. But that may be too much, because the mind is like, it can take only so much. I see.
If you can have at least 1 per week, because I know the way we operate here is difficult. If you can have 1 per week, also I don't know how other people feel, but
yeah, if everybody is willing to come to the classes, we can have more classes. But if everybody has other services, and I don't know, probably we can send out an email. Poll. We can do a poll. But if you are really wanting to come, then you should come. Not that I get 2 people every class. It's not worth anybody's time. I mean, yeah, we can do that. 1 hour per week is also okay. See, because for larger chapter we have 3 weeks. So which means instead of having 2 hours for large chapters, we have 3 hours. For Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, we have 4 hours. Or 1.5 hours is also too. We can do 1.5 hours too. So we can meet every Sunday at 2:30 and 4. Huh? That's good? Okay. I'll let you know. Yeah, but I'm here to serve you. But I will see. Let me think about it. I will try this time. If we can have it, I would love to also have it. Yeah, you had Swati Mataji.
Actually, Prabhuji, if every week is a very good idea, if you are busy, then probably the earlier Bhakti Shastris can pitch in with one class or something.
Okay.
I mean, of course, if you can take every week, that's the best.
No. I mean, we can. Let me think about it. I think it's manageable. I'll let you know. But you brought up a very nice point, because at least for the next 2 chapters, we'll have one class per chapter, because I'll be in India, and then the Bhakti Shastris, they have volunteered. I've asked them to see if they can come and give classes. So they'll cover chapter 10 and chapter 11, and then from chapter 12 I'll be here all the way. And probably then we'll think of having like every week classes. Why not? We can work on it. Yeah, I'm here to serve you in whatever way. If you are willing to come every week, the whole idea of having chapter once in 2 weeks was a devotee had to drive all the way. For example, they have to come, they have to set up every week at that time. Like Shraddha Mataji and Mukharinda Prabhu or Raman and Saka Prabhu, they come and they have to set up everything every week, which is just a big hand for them. Setting up the mic system and books. So, yeah.
I was just thinking that if we have classes every week, then maybe we should schedule it in such a way that, we have a week where it is taught, and then the next week could be reserved for presentations, question and answers, and follow-ups, and so on. Because so many times we end up moving the class because something else has come up on that day.
I see.
So
I see.
Otherwise, we'll end up pushing the schedule out all the time.
Right.
Like you schedule to teach it, and then it happens that there's a festival that's falling on that day, and so the class gets pushed out. So logistically, it might be difficult to.
I see.
To manage, because we have 9 chapters.
The other option is that instead of having one class on Sunday, that weekend you have 2 classes on Saturday and Sunday. So that way the next weekend is free. And we need volunteers who can be trained by Shraddha Mataji or somebody to set up and things like that, mic system and all that. If there are a couple of devotees who can kind of take care of that, then we can have more. That's one logistic issue which can be solved if some other devotees also can pitch in and help set up, or I can come and see how to do it and I can set up too. So that's one logistical aspect. The other thing is, if you want, like every weekend may be tough during that time, then we'll have Saturday and Sunday of that weekend, and the next 2-3 weekends are free. You can have like 2 hours, 4-hour sessions.
Yeah, I was also thinking that the extra classes that we are having because of the weekly schedule, those could be pure online. Like you meet in person as we are meeting right now, and then the extra sessions could be online. Okay. I mean, just on the phone. Everybody could be on the phone.
Yeah, that can also work. But so devotees have no problems in coming every week, right? That's what I wanted to know. Is that okay? Is that not okay? Is there other commitments? Can you do it? Or as Mataji said, 1 week we have meet here in the temple, the next week we'll have online. That's another reasonable way to go. Also, we can have like a WebEx session where we can do it. For the Bhakti Vaibhava students, we never meet physically. We always have it online. And for every week it's there on Thursday, but we don't meet online. So everything can be done. Even the presentations and everything are done online. We can do via WebEx. So that's another opportunity we can explore. I mean, that way the devotees are saved of coming all the way from here. Not saved, we are saved by coming here. Because the Lord is here. That's not my point. The thing is, it will save an extra trip. But if you are willing to come in a setting like this, is the best. And I have found that the devotees who come here every week, and there have been some stalwart devotees who've been coming every week for the Bhakti Shastri class, and they got very high marks because they came here and they listened. And the thing is, my understanding is when you sit and listen like this, when others ask questions, your mind is able to retain a lot more than when you are reading. Because when you are reading, you're not focused. You are focused here, focused there. Now when you are listening, your mind is really focused. You are not thinking so much, unless of course of some serious issues. So it's retaining much more in memory. And that's the whole idea. Otherwise, so if you are willing to come, I am willing to come.
I am interested. Maybe 1.5 should be okay, but every week, if it's required, I'm fine.
Okay.
But I don't know, but maybe I have to check with others as well.
Or we can have like morning and afternoon sessions on the same day. It will be too much though. So you come in the morning. Setting up will be only once, but then you come in the morning. Not morning, like 3 to 4 hours on one chapter, split up into like with breaks and things like that. But it will be too much to absorb. Mind can't take after some time. The attention span is not there right now. So we have started our class at 2:10. Right now the attention span is waning just after 1 hour 15 minutes. It's like it's like you just want to kind of, when will this class end? So I have no problems. Whatever way is flexible, I have no problems. Yes.
One thing we can do is, I agree with your point also, because if you like have morning or evening, something like that, afternoon, even now, like out of it's 30 people are registered, but we hardly have like 20 people here. So people will drop out. They will not come, or they will come later of the thing. One thing we can do is, you have these 2.5 hour sessions. Okay, we start at 2, we'll go till 4:30, whatever it is. But we don't rush through it. So we go to a normal pace. So assume that it's 40 verses. If we finish only 30 verses, the 10 verses we can do online.
Okay.
The next day or the next weekend or something, that's fine. Or we can call on that day. We say, okay, next Sunday we are going to meet.
I see.
But rather than like what we do, sometimes we do is like we do 20 verses in detail, and the last 20 we like run through it. So let's not do that.
I see.
Let's do 30, and then 10 we can call for 1 hour or half an hour online, or maybe next Sunday, something like that.
That's a very good idea. That's a very good idea. That way we'll keep the schedule, and then for some we will obviously know, and then we can have like online. Yeah, you're right. Beautiful. I think we'll stick with that for this semester, because we already, the calendar is set in place, and there is one change, which is like the midterm exam. I don't want too many changes, and that way we can go ahead. We can have a class next Sunday. For example, if discussion went long and everybody is more interested, then the next Sunday we'll have just for an hour. And to wrap up, makes sense. And that way, if you don't need it, then don't need it. Yeah, but I do agree. All said and done, I love Bhakti Vaibhava, but this is much better setting. Doing a WebEx is, it's a little impersonal. You just sit at home, everybody is on their own. But because it's done on a weekday, Bhakti Vaibhava is done on a weekday, and everybody is coming back home after work, and they have to log in. So it's unrealistic to meet at one place, in the Bay Area at least. So that's the reason. Thank you for coming, Pooja. Other questions, comments? If nothing else, we can stop here. We can wait till take a break for half an hour. Vaishesh Prabhu he said he's going to come here sharp at 4. And we still have about 10-15 minutes or so. Any other things?
Srivasa Pandita Prabhu?
Yes, Hansapriya Mataji.
So just a heads up, when we move to the new temple,
okay,
probably we'll have the program in the morning, like starting at noon. So probably at that time we will look into it, what would be the good time. So even if we are looking into another session or whatever, we would also consider that after we move to the new temple, we will have the morning program starts at 11 or 12, something like that. We don't have anything finalized yet. The board hasn't even talked about it. But we wanted to do the Sunday feast for quite a while in the morning.
I see.
But because this kitchen is not good enough for us to finish the morning service and the cooking the feast by noon.
Okay.
That's why we're just waiting for the new temple move so we can start doing it Sunday feast on the morning.
Hansapriya Mataji, by when this decision will be taken?
We don't know yet, Prabhuji. We're just looking into so we'll probably mid-April, or I don't know. We will know by mid-March.
Okay. All right, Mataji. We'll change our schedule accordingly. If a Sunday feast is going to start in the afternoon, or we can definitely change.
That's what my point was that, then on that case, if we will have the class right after the Sunday feast.
Okay.
Probably, then when the devotees are already at the temple for and then in that case, on every week, it might be not difficult if the 18th chapter is way too long and all that stuff.
Yeah, we can have it. We can work the schedule around to have it. Like, say, for example, I don't know. We'll see. It's hypothetical, but whenever you decide, then we'll work on it accordingly.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably we'll cross the bridge when we get to it. At this point, because you don't have information, there is no point in we speculating either. So.
Yeah.
Thank you. But thank you for the heads up, Mataji. It's really will helpful.
Yeah.
I'll just send out an email, or Shraddha Mataji can just send out an email saying that these are the potential changes. There is a midterm exam, and then there is also, potentially to change the thing. And on that note, I want to convey my deep appreciation and my heartfelt gratitude to Shraddha Mataji for being the Director of Administrations for the Bhakti Shastri course. She's been on top of homework, on top of trying to keep things in place. And I also want to thank Bharani Mataji for depositing the checks. When you give the checks, they go to her and she deposits it. So I'm really indebted to both of you for helping me. Thank you. Yes, you had to say something.
I have to talk about fees, isn't it? So this semester there's going to be a little change. You can always give the checks to me or to Srivasa Prabhu when you come here, or to Bharani Mataji. And especially for those of you who are online, we're going to come up with a PayPal mechanism of you paying the fees. So we will raise an invoice to you. So just let us know whether you plan to pay for how many semesters, one semester or the rest of the course. And then we raise an invoice to you, and that way you can just pay it online to us. And then Bharani Mataji doesn't have to keep track of the checks. And also, checks being lost in transit and things like that. Those kind of issues will not happen. So we're going to come up with that. Just give me some time to set it up because I need to get the account number, etc. And then I'll come back to you with an email on that. And in the schedule, we already have the date the fees is due.
Yeah.
So that's already there, and I'll just make it a point to remind you when the date comes up. That's all.
Thank you.
It's just the beginning of the semester, so I'm being good.
You have about 10. Go ahead.
Any quick tips on how to read 10th and 11th chapter while you are not here?
Okay. I'll just give the brief summary for the 10th and 11th chapters. In the beginning of 10th chapter, Krishna asks Arjuna, how can I think of you? He says that in the 10th chapter, after 9 chapters, Arjuna says, I accept you as a Supreme Lord, and everybody says you are the Supreme Lord, I accept you as a Supreme Lord. And then the next question is asked is, how can I think of you? When I look at this material world, how can I think of you? And then Krishna gives a summary of his opulences. And then mainly like a lot of verses are like, amongst the months I am November, December. Amongst the mountains I am Himalayas. Amongst the peaks I am Meru. Amongst the season I am the spring. So he gives all these. And then at the end he says, but Arjuna, what is the use of me telling all these things? Just by a fragment of me, my fragment of my portion, I am maintaining everything. But he says, no, anything that is opulent, that is grand, and that's like eye-catching in this world, actually is a part of my opulence. And so that is the 10th chapter. In the 11th chapter, Arjuna asks Krishna to show his universal form. Now, Krishna says to Arjuna, this universal form is something you can't see, so let me give you a vision. Let me give you the eyes, transcendental vision to see the universal form. And then once he gives the vision, then Krishna reveals the universal form. And that universal form is beyond description. It has thousands of arms, thousands of legs, thousands of faces, sharp teeth, weapons, and all of them bedecked with beautiful jewels. And Arjuna sees that all these warriors who are there on the battlefield, they are hurling towards the mouth of those universal form, and they are being crushed in between the teeth of that universal form. And everybody is just dying. Every soldier on the battlefield is just being crushed. And then Arjuna is really scared. He says, my Lord, what is the purpose of? He says, time I am the destroyer of the world. And because that is used as he says, time I am the destroyer of the world. And then he says, I've already destroyed all these people on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. You just be an instrument. And then Arjuna just offers prayers to the universal form. 11th is about description of the universal form, and Arjuna offering his prayers, and how he was truly scared. He was terrified to the core. And it is said all the demigods and the sages, they also saw the universal form. And at the end of that chapter, Arjuna says, my dear Krishna, please, if you think, revert back to your four-handed form. And then Krishna says, okay, Arjuna, my devotee, don't worry, I'll just remove you of this fear you are feeling, seeing my universal form. And then he shows his four-handed beautiful form. And then from four-handed he shows his two-handed forms. Now one might question why Arjuna was so afraid of seeing. He is the same Lord. The thing is, the devotees have a particular rasa with Krishna, and they are able to see the Lord in their own form. For some, they are devotees of Lord Nrsimha. For some, they are devotees of Lord Ram. And they like to see the Lord in that form and nothing else. So Arjuna was accustomed to seeing Krishna in his form. And then he was pacified when you could actually see Krishna, not his universal form. Besides, the universal form is itself material. Please understand that the universal form, material means that when the material creation exists, the universal form exists, Virat Rupa exists. If there is no material creation, there is no universal form. It is just exhibited for the purpose of material creation. So those are in summary, those are the two nutshells. In a nutshell, those two are the chapters. And how do we read it? My request is, here, this is what you do. First, when you read the 10th chapter, don't read the purports. Don't read the Sanskrit. Don't worry about it. Just read the translations. Just see what is the layout. From which verse to which verse, who is saying what. Verse 1, 2, 3, Arjuna says. What is he saying? Just write down, saying this is what Arjuna says. Then the second, then once you have the layout ready, the big picture ready, then you start reading the purports. And along with, when you read the translation, put in all the questions. Why is Arjuna saying this? Write down all the questions. And then start reading the purports. And you will see most of the questions are answered in Srila Prabhupada's purport, whatever that comes up. And that way you are guaranteed to remember the chapter even the exam is happening in 2014 or 2024. Because of the simple fact that you went through the chapter, you understood the essence. Okay, this is what is mentioned in this chapter. That's this I need to know. And usually exam, that's what tests you. I don't, that is one way you can do. Try it, at least for the two things. And I beg for your forgiveness for not being present here during those two chapters. There's nothing, it's a very dear service to me to do Bhakti Shastri. And I go to Mayapur with bittersweet feelings that I'll be away from my service for two classes. But rest assured, I'll come back if Krishna so desires and I'm alive. And then we'll continue where we left off. And this time we'll have a midterm. And then we'll also have quizzes. So we'll have some quizzes, kind of homeworks or whatever we can at the end of each chapter. So for the instructors who are going to take for the 10th and 11th, I'll ask them to prepare some quiz things, some homework kind of quiz things, so that they get an idea. And later when I come back, then we can always have a revision session if you want to. If you order me, then I'll sit again and we can go through 10th and 11th again, as in a special 1 hour class or something like that. That's only if you want to. Because this is the one class, the beginning class, where everybody can talk. Otherwise, most of the semester you'll see the same face trying to talk. So it's better. Other questions, comments? We can end up. The other thing is tips for memorizing verses. Depends. Some people are natural at memorizing. Some people need some effort. But the best thing I found is index cards. And this is what Vaisheshika Prabhu taught me also. And that's what he does. He takes the index cards. If you can get 3 colored pen, that will be even awesome. 1 pen which has 3 colors. So you write the shloka in the Devanagari or the Roman transliteration, whichever you are comfortable with, on one side of the card. Then take a pen and mark the word to word. Once you write the shloka, the word against that word use the pen and write the meaning word to word in English, and in the back you write the translation. So, and keep those sets in the car, on the fridge, wherever you can. And the only way, the secret to success I learned for shloka memorization is repetition. If try this. There are many singers in ISKCON, right? And they sang quite few shlokas of Bhagavatam and other things. And you listen to that shloka every day. Just listen to that song set in the shloka. For example, there are shlokas from Bhagavatam and sung by so many singers. At the end of the 7th day, you don't have to memorize anything. You are not memorizing, you are automatically singing it.
Mahabharata serial, the title song.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing is, if you have to verse memorize, you put it to a tune, regular tune, what we sing in the temple, and try to repeat it. If you are musically inclined, or if you are like analytical, your mind is analytical, you need to know where the layout is and everything, and then you can write it on a verse card and write the meaning and things like that. Or if your mind is more musically bent, you can have it in a musical way. Yes, Fatima.
Thanks to Shraddha Mataji for this semester, I didn't have to work hard to learn the shlokas. She told me to take a printout of all the 10 shlokas, and every day during lunchtime I would sit in my car and I would just read them without even trying to learn, and I just learned it. Eventually, maybe weeks before the exam, I knew that I knew them. So that was definitely much, much better than what I had during the first semester.
Wow, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So repetition is the key, and how do you repeat is up to you. It's an individual preference. You want to repeat it as Swati Mataji did, have it print during the lunchtime or anywhere on your computer, keep it somewhere. It should be there within sight. It should be there within the purview of your daily things. For ladies who are in the kitchen, fridge may be the good choice. Or, for the men, the car may be a good choice, or a computer or somewhere. So repetition, if you do it, then it will come out. You don't even have to struggle for it. You don't have to worry about it. But one way surely to fail is to memorize before the exam. The reason is, your fear is overriding your memory. You are memorizing, but with a fear that I will forget it, and that is stronger than your memory power. So, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Pooja, you had a question. I'll come to you.
I can just give an easy way is recite the shlokas once. Everyone has nowadays an iPhone or an Android phone, record it, and then driving away, you can just keep on listening hundreds of times. That's the easiest part.
Wonderful. Nobody loves their voice more than their own voice. Nobody loves anybody's voice except, I think, let's not get there, but more your own voice. Yeah, just wonderful. Wonderful. So, yeah, using your iPhone in service of Krishna. It's amazing. Thank you. All wonderful tips. Yes, son? Yes, Pooja, you had a question. I'm so sorry. No, you can ask.
So you were saying that the Virat Rupa is not permanent. So then the Garbhadakshay Vishnu and all the other Vishnus, they also, after the creation is over, they're not there anymore. So then what is the eternal form of the Lord? 200 or 400?
No, the thing is, it is the eternal form is 200, is also 400. Because Vaikuntha planets, we learn from the scriptures, they are not destroyed. And the Lord of Vaikuntha is having 4 hands. Other questions? Comments? Okay, so the other thing I need to know, I know there are few devotees, this is the last point and I promise we'll be done. There are few devotees who have said we are here to test and get a free sample. I'll sit for the classes for a few weeks and see if you like it. My request is make a quick decision and send it to Shraddha Mataji so that she can add you to the list of the mailing list, and then you can get regular emails and things like that. Because what happens is after some time they'll say, hey, why didn't you tell me about the class? I said, well, did you send the email to Shraddha Mataji? I said, no. Sorry.
And Srivasa Prabhu, I'd just like to add that because of the anti-spamming policies, I cannot add you by myself to the Yahoo group. I have to send you an invite, and you have to accept the invite. And it doesn't come from me; it comes from Yahoo groups. And so sometimes that email goes into your trash box, and you will never know about it, and I will not know about it either. So when you come to me and with a request to add you to the Yahoo group, just be on the alert for the next a week or so. And see if you don't get it, then maybe it's in the trash. And if it's still not in the trash, then come and let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, because then otherwise you'll miss out on classes and exams and all important information.
Right. Yeah. Right. And this time I'll also update the calendar. No, I think we don't need to update the calendar now. Probably there's only an email saying that there'll be a midterm for those who didn't attend this class. I think it's a big decision. Those who attended, they had the say. So sorry, but for those who attend, I can't help it. Yeah, but please attend the classes. I found that on an average, those who attend the classes score much higher in their exam. If nothing else, that should be a motivation. We are all talking about marks. So, other final questions, comments? Yes. Welcome.
I'm not a regular student. This is the first sitting, just to tell others who are listening to me. But I just had I have been reading Gita for quite a few years, okay? But I have never, focused more on the shlokas because it's Sanskrit and it's a bit more difficult. But there are some easier translation of those two lines, so I go through those. And that I am doing somewhat more regularly. What I have seen a lot of intelligent people memorize the slokas, and maybe it helps in the memory or whatever. But I really want to know why is it so necessary to learn the Sanskrit slokas if you have the English meanings there, and they give you answers to life. So why is it necessary to learn the Sanskrit slokas? I just want to know that.
Well, you're right. Because if you know the English, there is no need to learn the Sanskrit. And but the requirement for the board of exams within ISKCON is that we need to memorize shlokas. And in one sense, I understand why they are insisting, because when you present or when you quote Sanskrit, it's pretty authoritative. You are quoting directly the words of Krishna. And English, though you can try your best, but you won't be the exact same words. You can get the meaning can be different. But when you quote Sanskrit, they are pretty authoritative. Having said that, yes, from a strict practical purposes, you don't need to. But this is a requirement for the Bhakti Shastri exam. And I believe that it gives more authority to your words. Well, Krishna quotes in the Bhagavad Gita, he says this is this. If you see a newspaper article, you see that, okay, this man quoted this, quotes this, and I say this, is more authoritative than he heard something like that. So it lends more authority to your words and to your message of Gita when you speak. So, but again, if you can't, or if it is too much, then English is fine too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mukharendra Prabhu had some comment on that.
I personally found that reading a translation is difficult than to memorizing slokas. So
right. When
you know slokas, you can more easily remember the translation. And at the period, if you know, like you practice, you can understand Sanskrit well, and you can know translation. So it is more easy to know the Sanskrit, and then you can translate it according to Prabhupada given. So it helps me to remember translation better when I remember the Sanskrit sloka.
Very nice. Actually, yeah, again, it depends on person to person. Some people like it that way, some people like it this way, but yeah. Yes.
from what I've heard previously, the emphasis on Sanskrit is because it's more close to Vedic culture. So, for example, the authoritative that thing which you said, that is also definitely true. But what I heard is it helps one connect more close to Vedic culture.
How do you mean?
Because in Vedic culture, Sanskrit was the language, right?
Right.
So in English, if we study, we'll understand the spirit. That's correct. But for example, cow protection and all of those things. So these are all different limbs of Vedic culture. Like Sanskrit also was one of. So and there are other linguistic interpretations of how Sanskrit has a lot of advantages in terms of usage and stuff, but and of course, as you said, it depends on the person samskaras. So from someone who is from a Western background, he might be able to closely relate with English, and that might be his way of speaking with the Lord. So for someone, it's some other language. So in Vedic culture, it was more close that Sanskrit was used. So probably that's one reason why, as much as possible, stick to Vedic culture. So,
well, thank you for your comment and your answer to my objection to your point also. You answered it. The thing is, it's based on time, place, circumstances. For the Western body devotees, it may be impossible to actually understand Sanskrit. And I have seen that at a very close level. They are wonderful devotees who have grasped the essence, but they don't know Sanskrit. They can't understand Sanskrit. It's not natural in them to memorize shlokas. So, yeah, it works both the ways. And if you are fortunate to be born in India and inclined, please, by all means, you should do it. But it is not a prerequisite that is going to disqualify if you don't do it.
Yes, bro.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice points. Yes.
About memorizing shlokas on a lighter note, I remember Vaisheshika Prabhu, he was giving tips on how you remember shlokas, and he said that if you have a shloka to memorize, just write it down on a slip or on an index card and keep it right next to the telephone that you have. And whenever you get a phone call, as you pick up the phone, ask the other person, like, do you have a minute? And if they say yes, then you belt out the shloka to them.
On the other humorous note, I want to add that in the exam, most of the devotees actually, if they don't know the shloka, they won't attempt to write it. They won't just touch it. They'll write the translation, and whatever marks comes. But in this case, for the first time, can anybody memorize? Can anybody tell me which two shlokas I asked in the exam? Yoginamapi and Vishyamini Vartante. Then one devotee, he didn't know, or she didn't know, I don't want to tell the gender, but they wrote Yoginam api Vedesham Vedeshu Sarva Vedeshu Vedeshu Chaiva Yoginam Charva Vejeshu. And that devotee's Gita, not Bhagavad Gita. That was the first. I just wanted to share. No names, no gender, as I said. But please don't write your own Gita. If you don't know that, leave it. It's fine. Just give the translation, get some marks. Unless you want to write it and waste some time and I get some good laughs out of it, fine, no problem. Go for it. Anyway, I thank you very much, each and every one of you. I want to express my gratitude for taking part in this great sacrifice of reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And I hope that by reading this, the biggest gain is that our hearts are purified and the mercy of Guru and Gauranga is going to descend upon us, because I read in Nectar of Devotion, you become indebted to the author if you read his books. Author becomes indebted to you if you read his books. So Srila Prabhupada is indebted if you read his books. And if he is indebted, he can actually give Krishna to you. If you get that mercy of Prabhupada, he can give Krishna. Krishna se tumaro, Krishna dite paro, tumara shakati ache. Amito kangal, Krishna Krishna boli, thai tava pate, pache pache. So, please, so we are doing a wonderful thing by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And may it be a lifetime of reading, lifetime of enjoyment, and lifetime of relishing this nectar. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Sorry, there is only just, I think, 10 or 12 minute break, and then we'll have the magnificent lecture by Vaisheshika Prabhu.